Shabbat Shalom. I recently listened to a podcast that relates the unregulated accessibility of artificial intelligence to the story of the sorcerer's apprentice. In the tale, a sorcerer leaves his apprentice alone, surrounded by all of his spell books, magic potions, and tools. Tempted by this unfettered access, the apprentice thinks, I'm ready for this. I know enough to use the sorcerer's tools. And the apprentice starts to tinker with all of the sorcerer's spells and potions. Once he unleashes the magic, he loses control of it, and chaos erupts all around him. It is only when the sorcerer returns to his workshop that things are set right. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can accomplish astounding and useful things that can help humanity, such as helping us reach new findings, cures, and abilities. Yet, it is being unleashed without guardrails in place. There is no sorcerer to come in and reorganize the chaos. AI can be used in nefarious and dangerous ways. It can and has been used to create deep fakes of people acting in ways that they never would. AI can disrupt lives through identity theft, lost reputations, and consequences of abuse and manipulation. AI can be used to persuasively and pervasively reshape our values, beliefs, and ideas of what is true, of what is normative, of what is acceptable. Sam Altman, the creator of ChatGPT, famously joked, "We are building a god." And Elon Musk quipped, "We are building a devil." This is quite biblical. As humans, we have always tried to supersede our limitations. We see this in the story of the Tower of Babel, in which people tried to build a tower into the heavens to be like God. We also see this in this week's Torah portion, when the Israelites create the golden calf. Moses goes up to Mount Sinai for 40 days to receive the Torah from God, and the Israelites, separated from their leader, decide to take matters into their own hands. We read, "Come, make us a god who shall go before us. For that fellow Moses, the envoy who brought us from Egypt, we do not know what's happened to him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." And all of the people took off the gold rings that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. This he took from them and cast into a mold and made it into a molten calf. And they exclaimed, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." The Israelites deluded themselves into believing a golden calf could be their God. They wanted something easy, accessible, and direct to interact with. But life is messy. The journey is not one of great ease. In order to grow in wisdom and to find our spiritual center, we must go through a process of struggle. We need to engage with conflict and resolution, brokenness and repair. Through our struggles, we become close to each other and to God. We can't find easy external answers. Seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God, says the prophet Micah. To seek justice, one must have an open heart. To love mercy, one must understand what it is to walk in another's shoes. To walk humbly with your God is to accept that none of us is greater than another, and we find connection with each other through our shared vulnerability. In this week's Torah portion, even Moses seeks to find a physical representation of God. Even Moses, who has direct access to God, who speaks to God and to whom God speaks back. Moses wants to see God with his own eyes. He wants to supersede the limits of human lives. We read, Moses says, "Oh, let me behold your presence." And God responds, "You cannot see my face, for a human being may not see me and live. But you can see my back." In answering him, God helps Moses recognize that he had a way of seeing God all along. When God says to Moses that Moses can see God's back, God allows Moses access to a way of perceiving God in the world through seeing God's shadow. The back of God is a reflection of our actions that brings God's presence into the world. We see God in acts of kindness between people. We see God in acts of pursuing justice and repairing the world. We see God in love between one another. We see God in all of creation. And we find ways of bringing God's teaching into the world through studying Torah and observing its teachings. It is this holy grounding, this spiritual structure, that allows us to engage our powerful abilities as agents in the world, and yet with control, boundaries, compassion, wisdom, and always in the context of being one person, one small part of a vast world of interconnected creation. There are no easy routes, no automatic channels, and no magic that can speak to the fullness of our humanity. AI is an intelligence, but it is not living. It does not have feelings. It does not possess wisdom. The tools of AI, like a kind of modern sorcery, need to be guided by values, ethics, and rules of a compassionate society. For the Jewish people, that guide is the Torah. We read in the Torah that one must place a guardrail around one's roof to ensure that anyone walking on the roof would be protected and not fall. Torah tells us to never put a stumbling block before the blind. Yet, when we release powerful tools without any checks and balances, aren't we doing just that? This is an ethical issue, and a spiritual one as well. May we understand that power needs to be tempered by ethical precepts, compassionate hearts, and with sufficient guardrails to keep us safe as we strive towards the unknown. Shabbat Shalom.